Hello and welcome. We're going to give everyone just a few more minutes to jump on the webinar today. We appreciate you joining us at the St. Pete Chambers Hurricane Recovery webinar. A great lineup today, and we're appreciative of y'all joining us today.
They need to turn on the chat thing to see the links.
Welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started here today. Thank you so much for joining us at our St. Pete Chamber Hurricane Recovery webinar for businesses. My name is Christy Bruner. I'm the Vice President of Advocacy here at the Chamber. This webinar was developed from discussions in our Housing, Land Use, and Development Committee, and the goal is really to build resilient leaders and sustainable businesses in our community. Today, we have a variety of subject area experts who will share some valuable information with our attendees to help move towards recovery from this storm, both professionally and personally. Our team will be sharing links in the chat throughout the webinar for you to learn more about the discussion topics. So please feel free to use question Q&A, drop in your questions, and be sure to include the speaker's name because we have a great spectrum of speakers today. That way, if we aren't able to ask that question, we can go ahead and get that answered afterwards. So we will try to address as many questions at the end of the webinar as possible, and we want to be respectful of everyone's lunch hour today. We plan to wrap up our event by 1:15. We will be recording the webinar. The video will be sent to all attendees and also shared with chamber members not able to participate today. Our links and questions will be included in that webinar as well, in that recording as well. Without further ado, we will start with our first presenter, Mike Twitty, our county property appraiser. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Christy. I appreciate you all jumping on with us today. We got a great lineup of speakers, so we're going to be moving rapidly through. Make sure you have your pens and paper ready because there's going to be a ton of information coming your way, and this is really designed to steer people towards resources. So without further ado, I will jump into the stuff that falls within my lane as property appraiser. So many people have visited our website. That is really our 24/7 place to one-stop shop for anything property valuation and exemption related. So I encourage people to go to PCPAO, that stands for Pinellas County Property Appraisers Office.gov. So PCPAO.gov. There you'll see our FAQs for our storm related damage information. So there's some robust FAQs there to help people, but we've also have some direct links right on the home page at the top under our announcements section that I can actually, I think, flash up here. Show people. Are you all seeing that?
I don't think that we can see that. I can stop my share maybe.
Okay.
Oh, you can see it. Oh, perfect. It's on. Yes, thank you, Mike.
I thought so. Okay. Very good. So right in this section here, we've got several links. Obviously, the FAQs, you can also get to them here, but you can jump straight to the application for the partial property tax refund. So that applies to people that were, unfortunately displaced for a minimum of 30 days, that their property was considered uninhabitable for 30 days, and that would only be for the 2024 tax year. So essentially, if Helene displaced you through the end of the year, that's roughly 3 months. We have the number of days calculation on the landing page when you get there. So when you jump to that, you can see the different number of days for each event. Also, another thing that a lot of people are interested in right now is we started a new process called our building value reconsideration. So for those that end up, when they look at their FEMA letter on our website and under the 50% rule or the 49% rule, whichever applies to them based on their jurisdiction, if they run into issues where our value is not high enough on the structure for them to complete repairs, then we have started a new process called this building value reconsideration. So what we do is we have an application out there on the website. You can get it right through here and submit an application. The most important thing that rides along with that are photographs pre-storm. So we really need to see the interior quality and condition of the property pre-storm. If you're homesteaded, it's not going to affect your taxes, so don't worry about that. This is just so we can get our effective age calls right, because if you're homesteaded, you've got your Save Our Homes cap in place, which is going to protect your assessed value. It'll move your just value, but not your assessed value, which actually helps your portability. So it's not going to harm you in that case. So they submit that, we can we have teams of directors that are reviewing those to see if we can justify any factual changes that will run off our 2024 database, and we can produce a new structure value. And those will go to the website. They'll also be emailed to the applicant when finished. That process right now, our pipeline is about, we're turning those within 2 to 3 weeks. Obviously no cost associated with those, but we put that in place because we wanted to try and help streamline that process. We know we have a lot of great appraisers in the private sector that can perform the work to satisfy this on the ACV, or the actual cash value appraisal side, but we were concerned about them getting overwhelmed in volume. So this was an alternative way for people to get a look. And generally, you're still going to get a higher structure value using an actual cash value appraisal, because our methodologies are slightly different. They're able to go, private appraiser can go straight to the structure value and use slightly different methods of depreciation as opposed to how we handle it for ad valorem taxation. All right, moving along. Other thing I wanted to point out. So the calamity rule, there's information on the website, again, related to that. So assessed value protection when repairing or rebuilding, that's important for people to look at if they have an interest in trying to become compliant, if they want to knock down their home and build new and elevate above base flood, or if they want to try and jack up their existing home or abandon the lower portion, turning that into parking, storage, and entry, and building a new residence on top that, again, is also code compliant and above the base flood elevation. So really 3 scenarios there they can deal with. We've modified our policy on how we calculate calamity here. We're trying to make it as simple and as beneficial to our property owners as possible that were affected by these terrible events. And we know, how expensive it is to get up off the ground. So the 110% calculation against the original area is going to be calculated based on the living area. So if you take all your living area sub areas and add those together, so we use sub areas, so base, base semi-finished, lower area finished, if pre-firm, meaning before 1975, all those types of things. We add that together and get your total living area, multiply that by 1.1. That would be the maximum living area that you could rebuild on that property and keep your assessed value cap in place. So that is huge, because you can essentially have, brand new construction there, but protect your assessment level, which obviously has an impact on your taxes. So the area below base flood elevation, as long as it is parking, storage, or entry, will not be counted against you in that 110% calculation. If you're the owner that was there when the event occurred, and it's a residential property and you're going up. By the way, residential property, according to the Department of Revenue, is up to 9 units. So you can have small residential properties that still qualify for that. Again, moving along, want to let people know we have a new process as well on our website. They can, let me find it here. Where did it go? I know it's here. There. Obtain a trust ownership verification letter. So there are several people out there that, are trying to pull builder permits. And if they do so and their property is held in a trust, most jurisdictions, building departments have been declining to allow them to pull a permit in that fashion. They are treating them like they're a corporation, and corporate ownership is not equivalent to ownership in a trust. So we already vet those particular owners, particularly when it's a homesteaded property. So we can provide that documentation to the building departments to be able to make that process much more smooth and keep people from having to remove their property from a trust if they want to pull an owner builder permit. So encourage people to take advantage of that if their jurisdiction has to, agree to accept that, but that is a service we're offering as well. So that can just be simply requested from our office, and we're usually able to turn those around same day, sometimes within a matter of 15 or 20 minutes. So encourage people to utilize that. And lastly, I want to let you all know that every month we do a public education session from our South County office. It's both in person and virtual. And then we also record those and place those on our YouTube channel. So some links, I believe, are going to be distributed that will show you how to get there. You can also get there through our public education here on the site and jump to that page. And there we have our prior sessions. Here's the one we just did last week, which was our After the Storm Answers Part 2 is right here. Goes into depth on a lot of the services and information that we're able to share to help people through the recovery process. So again, anything related to our lane, feel free to reach out to us. The website's pcpao.gov. Our number is 727-464-3207. And our on hold time is only about 9 seconds. So please don't hesitate to call us. We are very busy. We're finishing up value adjustment board season. And obviously we've got lots of properties to value to the tune of about 450,000 parcels for this January 1 for 2025. And we've got a lot of properties in various states of
And I have two screens.
disrepair, as we know.
We'll just say
So
that was
we've
the-
got to try and capture that snapshot of that January 1 condition. So
You'll have me just as an attendee on your
Okay.
main.
with that, I'm going to pass the torch to coming back to you, Christy.
Coming back to me. Thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate you and all the information. We're working on getting the links in, so they're coming. Don't worry.
Okay.
But thank you for sharing your screen, and thank you for all those details. And we are actually going to turn it over to John Barkett, a chamber member with Property Valuation Specialist. John, so I'll go ahead and spotlight you. Thanks for joining us.
Sure thing. Thank you, Mike, actually. Quite candidly, big shout out for Mike really stepping up and being ahead of the curve, and the way this is all evolving and the amount of information that's out there and available to property owners, residents is pretty amazing, actually, what you've done in a short amount of time. So, kudos to you and your team. From a personal background, I guess, perspective, this is my website, actually the 20-year logo in July. Our firm, Property Valuation Specialist, will have been in existence here in Pinellas County for a quarter of a century. If we're talking about resiliency, that image that you see right there with the deck chairs from the trade winds is my front yard. So like a lot of us, we are living this and here for all the right reasons to be a part of the solution and help the community move forward. So background wise, I'm a member of the Appraisal Institute. I hold a master's degree from New York University in Valuation and Analysis. I have a team of amazing certified general appraisers who have been cross-trained basically as floodplain administrators. And they were tooled up, and that was really done post Hurricane Ian when we made a trip that I'll touch on a little bit later here. But our piece in this, as you move on from the property appraiser and Mike's role I would say first and foremost is obviously to peg ad valorem taxation and tax roll through mass appraisal. And then I would say, secondarily, from a cost perspective and using depreciation methods is estimating the depreciated value of the improvements, which is the tool that you'll see on the website for PCPAO. Under the tools section in the left-hand column at the bottom for FEMA. And it's basically the generated letter that will print out their current depreciated value for your improvements. And then whether you're in a 49% or 50% jurisdiction, what the permittable amount of work could be done based on that amount. And the building value reconsideration is an awesome tool. For property owners, I will say our piece in the process is somewhat agnostic. The market value or depreciated value, actual cash value of the improvements can then be applied to whichever jurisdiction and whatever ordinances they have implemented based on what they've negotiated with NFIP and FEMA. So I would just say that, what role we play is we're helping guide, property owners to make informed decisions as they move forward. But a lot of people that are going through this process, it's the first time they've ever pulled a permit. So, it's important that they understand that one of the most, powerful tools that they have is the ability to hire a private appraiser and accurately estimate the actual cash value of their asset. So, I'd shift from there. I mean, the focus of this whole conversation is the impact of hurricanes on real estate and business. And I would say, whether it's, business, even my business, I have employees that have been directly impacted in the same way that you see my home. I have other employees that have been, that are, still homeless, families displaced, kids, dogs, and the like. How do we do this? And if individuals are paralyzed in their day-to-day, but how do we as business owners, and leaders also step past that and not be paralyzed? And I think if you look at it as a timeline, one of the things that we can do is what we did as a, trip. If you could change slides, Christy. We as a chamber, post-Hurricane Ian, we took a bus tour down to Fort Myers Beach. And it was the chamber, it was first responders, it was mayor and administration, it was, building officials. And, we were there, for all the right reasons to really understand, what did they do well? What could they have done better? What were the major takeaways? And for me as a business owner, my takeaways were my business, my valuation practice needed to be tooled and ready to pivot in order to help the community. And that's what we're doing in offering, high quality, cost effective and quick turnaround, actual cash value private appraisals. I'd say that would be the, what did we do retrospectively? I would say currently, we are in direct contact with, floodplain administrators, building officials, Mike in his office, because, it's where are we in the process right now? And depending on the municipality, I know I just got stats on St. Pete has issued about 5,200 permits. As of yesterday, I believe unincorporated Pinellas County is at about 1,700 permits right now. And there's a lot of disparity in there. There's a lot of disparity in process, and we all have open communication. It's about being part of the solution and not being a part of the problem to be a squeaky wheel. It's how do we better this process? And I would say where we fit from a private appraisal perspective is we're now getting to the point where people have submitted private appraisals with their substantial improvement, substantial damage packets. And depending on the jurisdiction, these are being reviewed by different parties, sometimes third parties. And the process we're just getting there, and the process is a little disjointed, but we're working out the kinks. The purpose I would think and intent is that a property owner, has due process and recourse, and that's what we're working towards right now. And I would say in a similar fashion, in the future, we're already having conversations about, what do we do as a business community and leaders to reconvene after the dust has settled so that we prepare for, God forbid, the next storm, and we're in an even better position. So, that may be discussing, the substantial damage assessment process as an example, or again, this, the private appraisal review process. How do we streamline this and, help our property owners, business owners, residents? And that gets on to additional roles taken on by us. And I had a candid conversation with Mike yesterday, and the reality is, we're going to touch on this a little bit later, but there's a mental health aspect to this. This is traumatizing. This is PTSD situations, for many involved in all of this. And I can say I personally am onboarding every single client. My average call time is about 37 minutes right now, because I'm not only talking about the private appraisal process. If I was just talking about that piece, I could probably do that in about 6 minutes. But it's personal to help people wrap their arms around the entire process and try and take out as much anxiety as we can. That's part of our role. That's how I feel as a community member and leader in this process. So there is that piece. And then I would say, to keep within my 10 minutes, as a closing comment, I would say this, private appraisal is an amazing tool. Probably about 20% of the people that I speak with, when I'm looking at what they have to work with, I'm telling them they don't need to hire me right away. My advice is, either if you're competent or you feel that you're competent and up to the task to fill out the SISD application yourself as a business owner, then take it on. I will say I'm a numbers geek and an analyst. If I look at, my municipality, 98.5% of the SISD applications that are getting rejected are owner builder applications. To me, that says maybe you should consider hiring a general contractor, because really the two tools that you have are a general contractor, because it's either the owner builder for residents. For commercial use, you don't have that option. As for a commercial property, it must be a general contractor. But your two tools in your toolbox are how you complete that. Basically, it's permit application and your appraised value, whether it's coming from Mike's site or you're going the route of a private appraiser. And that's really where the rubber hits the road. So my advice is, don't wait for a substantial damage assessment. Work in parallel, don't work in linear fashion. It'll help you take a lot of the anxiety out of the process. So I will end it at that. And I am available to anybody if you wanted to switch back to that other screen, or I know Christy's going to hand out or forward contact information. I'm available to anybody that has any questions.
Thank you so much, Mike, and thank you as well, John. We appreciate all of your help today. And if the links don't come through here, we will get them to you after the event. So we really appreciate everything that you've done. And we have a live in studio guest here, Eric Garduno with the Bay Area Apartment Association, is going to tell us a little bit about something else that y'all can attend later on this afternoon and what his organization is working on.
Well, thank you very much, Christy, for sharing your desk space with me for this very quick participation in the webinar. Thank you for the invitation. Eric Garduno, Bay Area Apartment Association. The short of it is that we're working in partnership with the city of St. Petersburg to host a housing fair today. The housing fair will be at the St. Pete Coliseum from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. The whole idea behind the housing fair actually came out as an outgrowth of planning within the community and housing and community development. They had a hurricane preparatory committee been meeting for the last year and a half, 2 years. We were part of that. After the hurricanes hit, one of the things that immediately was apparent that housing was going to be needed. And so we partnered with the city and getting information out about available units immediately after the hurricane. And then stemming from that partnership, we've gone into sort of a phase 2 which is this event. So we are going to have, as of right now, I have over 50 apartment communities that will be represented at the event. Each apartment community, each table will have one or more apartment communities represented. People who are looking for housing can come down to the Coliseum and talk to one community after the other to get a sense of where they might want to live, what opportunities there are for the kind of units they're looking for. This is all rental housing, all members of the Bay Area Apartment Association. I should underscore, it's not just housing in the city of St. Petersburg, it's housing across the region. So all throughout Pinellas County, Hillsborough, Pasco, Sarasota, Manatee, Polk. I think I even have somebody coming from Hernando. So we've got housing everywhere. So if there people will have options across the region to consider. I think an important element to this as well, that we're also going to have a few other folks in attendance. In particular, members of the staff for the Housing Community Development will be there to sort of work with St. Pete residents on how they might be able to help out with that, with their situations. Additionally, we're also going to have FEMA representatives there, so people from the Individual Assistance Branch who can answer questions about applications that were filed will be there to answer questions for people who were able to make it. We're also going to have, for those who might be in the property management side, people representing the direct lease program. So this is where FEMA will rent the units directly from the property manager, the landlord, the apartment owner, or the rental owner for a period usually up to 18 months, and then use those units to supply housing to people who are impacted by the hurricanes. I think those are the main things to highlight. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you
Absolutely.
for working with the city and getting this event off the ground.
Let me underscore that. Thank you to the city for the partnership. This has really been a great opportunity to work with the city and helping our community. And we're just very, very pleased, happy, and proud to be part of that partnership that the city has started. So thank you.
Absolutely. So after you finish eating your lunch at your desk in front of your computer, you can walk over to the Coliseum.
Starts at 3. So take a late lunch.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Eric. And speaking of the city, we have Amy Foster with the city of St. Petersburg here to tell us a little bit more about some funding opportunities and also some social service resources in the city of St. Petersburg. So Amy, we'll kick it back over to you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Christy. So first of all, I want to just mention that more help is on the way. So we are starting a housing assistance program with funding that we already had on hand. And so that's about $1.4 million. But just last week, we learned that we will be receiving $159 million from HUD. And our kickoff meeting with housing is next week. So don't get too excited about that. Our understanding is it's about a 2-year process, and it is the funding source of, it's the last source to come in. You will have needed to apply for FEMA and insurance payments and other things first, but there will be considerable funding coming to our community, and we're really excited to get that underway. Some of the programs I'm going to mention today still have to be approved by council, but I wanted to give you a quick overview of what we are proposing so that if there's feedback you have, you can help incorporate that feedback into the parameters that we're thinking. These parameters are drafted using federal requirements, and so there's some things we may not be able to change, but we are thinking about up to a $30,000 limit for storm damage repairs for homeowners. We can also cover tree removal, home structure repairs, and interim repairs. We are also have heard from a lot of homeowners that, their deductibles were higher than they anticipated and needing some assistance with deductibles. And so we're looking at up to $5,000 to help with insurance deductibles. And then also rent and utility payments up to 3 months, $10,000 limit on that. We do, again, have those federal requirements. So this is for 80% area median income or below. There will be an online application. Normally, you would have to use a city contractor for our housing programs, but we will also allow homeowners to use their own contractor as long as they're licensed and insured. They will need to register as a city vendor. And there are other program guidelines that we're not going to get into here today that are required by the federal government. So we plan on having this open by March at the latest. And so please check back on the city website for more information as that becomes available. I want to mention here that we do believe we will go up to 140% AMI for these exact same programs using the We Are St. Pete Fund, which is what I'm going to talk about next. For our small business owners, we know that small businesses are the life of our city. And so these are the draft parameters for our small business program. There will be a variety of tiers. Council has already given some feedback around this, and I think some changes will be made before it's finalized. For example, I think council was really focused on even home-based businesses being eligible, which was not considered in the original draft that you're seeing here. And also that people could be reimbursed for expenses that they have already covered. We know a lot of small businesses, in order to get back up and running, have already made those expenditures and put it on a credit card, but really need assistance in order to make themselves whole. So there would be a tiering of this program for equipment and inventory, for both shared commercial space and brick and mortar space, and also for structural repairs. So the maximum eligible would be up to $15,000 if you needed both inventory and brick and mortar repairs. Here's some of the criteria. You'd have to be based in St. Petersburg. Again, this home-based business piece has already slightly changed. Independently owned and operated, you'd need to have some kind of proof of eligible losses, 1 grant per address, needed to be in existence prior to September 15th, have an active business tax receipt, and not more than 50 employees. This also should be launched no later than March 1st. So we will do extensive press releases whenever it becomes available. But if there is feedback that anyone has immediately, please feel free to get that to Christy. The chamber's been great about getting city administration that feedback, and we can incorporate it into the programs before we launch them. Thanks, Christy.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thanks for popping on and sharing all those great details with us. We really appreciate it. I'm going to pop over to Joe Daly, and I believe, did Andre ever get the link to log in, Joe? Oh, you're on mute, Joe.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Did Andre ever get the link to log in?
I don't think that he did, but I certainly have the ability to talk through all the different information that we sent to you.
Oh, we very much appreciate it. And I apologize in advance to Andre, but we'll make sure he gets the video of this. So thank you for walking through some of these really valuable programs that we can learn a little bit about.
Yeah, if you want to send him a link now, maybe he can join us as a presenter, but if not, I can go through the slides, okay?
I will do. I'll work on that. Thanks, Joe.
All right. The first slide you see here, everyone, is an SBA information on eligibility and what the use of proceeds can be from the SBA. This isn't a product or a program that's offered by Guaranteed Rate Affinity. If you don't know Guaranteed Rate Affinity, it's the second largest retail mortgage banker in the United States. We have affiliation with Coldwell Banker and other real estate entities, as well as title and appraisal and insurance. If you don't know Andre yet, Andre is a local renovation specialist. What I mean by a renovation specialist, someone that works with individuals who have a property, or they're wanting to buy a property that needs specific renovations, repairs, updates, structural issues, et cetera, et cetera. We view the role of the specialist here at Guaranteed Rate Affinity as a specialized position, meaning that only certain people can write renovation loans because they're very specific, they're very detailed, they are complex projects, and sometimes they take longer to close. So there is the SBA information for homeowners and renters, and you can look through that through the link that you'll receive after today's session. If you go to the next slide is going to
Hey, Joe, I only added that one SBA slide, but we're going to go ahead and put the links in chat for everybody right now for the other
Okay, that'd be-
programs, if you want to talk through
Okay.
them for us.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
All right, the home style, that is a Fannie Mae product. So that is a first mortgage product only. All the products we're going to talk about today are all first mortgage products. So we have different investors or different agencies. One is home style. That is a conventional renovation loan program. It allows also for the purchase and the refinance of homes where the borrower is seeking renovations, repairs,
Yeah,
updates.
choice.
That is just one of them. The Home Choice is a Freddie Mac product. That also is a conventional renovation product. Allows for the same. And we're talking about loan amounts up to $806,000. So it can take care of a lot of different properties. So you have that conforming conventional loan limit on that. The next is VA renovation. So for our veterans, you know, they either own a home or they want to buy a home, or they've already been displaced, you know, from a home that was damaged, you know, by the hurricane, and now they need to buy a home. So VA renovation is a limited repair program that allows for veterans to upgrade, improve cabinets, kitchens, not utilities, but appliances. So just know that there's multiple products out there. I don't see it yet, but there is an FHA 203K. This is an FHA program, very small down payment, 3.5% down, or where the borrower can actually use a 97.75% refinance to there again roll the cost of repairs into the mortgage. If you don't know, what makes renovation loans very unique is that we use the after improved value. So our appraiser friend knows all about that, right? That's also on today's panel. After improved value means don't tell me what it's worth today. Tell me what it's going to be worth after all the renovations are completed. So we're going to share that specification of repairs, the bids, the specifications, the drawings with the appraiser and say, Mr. or Mrs. Appraiser, don't appraise it as it is, but how it shall become, using other sold comparables in the area that are in good condition, you know, non-damaged condition. So that's really the true benefit of renovation mortgages. So if some of these products don't meet what you need to borrow or what you need to lend, but you still have renovations within your home, a renovation loan would be a way to go. The last product we're going to talk about today is the 203H product. So all 203 programs from FHA are insured mortgages. This allows the borrower to buy a home or refinance a home up to 100%. So if your client or our customers or someone that you refer to us is basically homeless and their house was destroyed, they're able to buy a home with zero money down using an FHA loan, and that is specifically the 203K, the 203H product. And there again, all the products we talked about today are both for purchases and for refinances. So we invite you to work with Andre. Andre is a reverse specialist, and he's also a renovation specialist. There are some homes where you might have clients or citizens who had a reverse mortgage. There are specific details on what they should do. One of the first things they should do is call their servicer. That is the company who they're making their payments to, and let them know that they've had a loss or their property was destroyed. The other topic I want to talk about is residential properties. In the mortgage world, residential properties is 1 to 4 families, 1s and 2s and 3s and 4 families, and the loan amounts differ. So the more the units, the higher the loan amount. So you could have a 4 family that an investor owns. You could have a 4 family that an owner occupant owns, and there could be renovation loans out there or other programs to assist your citizens of Florida where you guys are working. One of the other items I wanted to talk about is underinsured or uninsured. Some people were surprised by the storm. Maybe they haven't updated their policy in a long time. Maybe they had, they didn't have replacement value, but, and it could be much, much more to rebuild it than it was just what they bought it for just a couple of years ago. and renovation lending can fill that gap. One of the reasons is that we usually use the insurance money to pay down the previous mortgage and then borrow the dollars that we need for renovations or repairs. So love to hear from you. Use Andre's information that we'll get out to you for questions or concerns about people who already own their home and may need directions on getting a new mortgage, about those who already have a reverse mortgage, and certainly refinances and purchases on all the products we talked about. So that's our presentation for today, and we really, really thank you for having us. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate it. And I think Andre logged in as a participant, so he's out there, and we appreciate you setting this up, Andre. Some really great resources that a lot of homeowners, a lot of employers might not have known about. So we will get all the contact information out. Now I want to pivot to Jason Druding with CareerSource with a really exciting opportunity that I had not heard of. So I wanted him to be able to share what he has going on at CareerSource, and we will change the slide here over for him and talk about the dislocated worker program. I'll turn it over to you, Jason.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. Good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to join you. We received a grant through the federal government that was passed down through the state. Currently, the total amount for our area was $600,000, but we're expecting upwards of $14 million to be awarded to the state eventually as we show additional need for these programs. This is a dual impact type of grant that can assist both employer work sites, including nonprofits, municipalities, you name it, in addition to small businesses. In addition to the individuals who were affected by the hurricanes who may have lost their jobs due to the hurricane damage or long-term unemployed. There are a couple of different surveys that are included in the links that are being provided in the chat that are also available through the QR code. For the individual's perspective, I'll kind of share if you know someone who lost their job or is long-term unemployed, who may be interested in disaster recovery oriented work, and this can include anything from office-oriented work, such as a disaster recovery navigator, crisis intervention team person. It can include disaster cleanup. It can include heavy equipment operation. It can include cooks related to providing food for persons impacted by the hurricanes. It's a pretty wide variety. As long as the jobs are tied to disaster recovery and disaster relief, they can qualify. The wages are paid through CareerSource. So we pay the wages, and the employers that we partner with serve as the work sites. And the wages begin at a rate of $15.50 an hour. Depending upon the complexity of the job, it's higher wages for more industrial oriented or more physically laborious type jobs, or those that require specific levels of training. We pay the wages for up to 6 months to help people get back on their feet. An individual simply has to complete the pre-screening survey because it is federal funding. There are eligibility requirements that must be met. So we'll walk the individuals through that particular process. For a business perspective, there is a survey as well for nonprofits and various employers. If they click on that particular link and provide the information. If you don't have the job descriptions already ready to go, we do have some templates that the state has provided that you can modify to fit what it is that you're looking for and what you're looking to do. In addition, our team will work with you to complete the various agreements that are necessary, the site visit, and connecting with our third-party provider, which is Manpower, who will handle the temporary employees and assist with timekeeping and payroll and wages, etc. The program itself is fairly easy to tap into. Once you've completed that paperwork, we then work with you on identifying, and you do have the opportunity as well to interview these individuals to determine if they're a fit for your company. We don't just simply assign them to you and then you're stuck with them. The other side of that coin as well is if you hire someone through this program and they don't work out, you let us know. We'll take ownership of them and carry them forward into a different opportunity if need be. Fairly simple to tap into. This ties in, of course, with our other programming, which may include on-the-job training programs as well as paid work experience. We offer a variety of programs and services to the community as well as businesses across the Tampa Bay area. For those that are unaware, we recently merged with our friends in Hillsborough County, so we're now known as CareerSource Hillsborough Pinellas, formerly CareerSource Tampa Bay and CareerSource Pinellas. And our new CEO started on the 9th, so she'll be making the rounds soon and perhaps meeting with a lot of you in the near future. I'll be happy to address any questions as they come through, or you can contact me directly for assistance.
Thank you again so much, Jason. This is
Certainly.
pretty remarkable information. And at the chamber, we would love to help facilitate any of this. So again, if there's any questions, please post them in chat or in the Q&A. Contact us afterwards. We'll get Jason's information out there. All the links are there as well. So this is super valuable and looking forward to working with you on this program. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Christy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I did see that Andre popped back on under Joe's account. Andre, did you want to pop on and add anything?
Yeah, thank everyone for joining us today. I just wanted to add some solutions for people that are in the process of trying to restore their house. I added the link for the SBA loan. That's not my area of expertise, but I just wanted to put the information out there to let people know there's ways that, you know, you can get money from the government to help them help you assist with getting your house restored. You can use the FEMA money, you can use the insurance money, and then there are some, you know, options out there as far as helping you renovate your house and rebuild your house if you want to look at the home style, home choice, or some of those other loans. Those are options that most lenders have. It's not just guarantee rate, but those are available, and some lenders don't have the bandwidth out there to provide that service. So if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me, give me a call, or shoot me a text. I'll be more than glad to walk you through the process.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Andre. I appreciate you being with us today, and we'll get all this information out. I know it's fast and furious, but it's all super valuable. And maybe if it doesn't apply to you, maybe it applies to a coworker, a colleague, a family, a friend. So please feel free to share all this information in the community. And finally, we are ending on some really important information. I'm going to add some spotlights and get us all teed up here.
It's just gonna be Dr. Barnett.
And wanted to turn it over to Kelli Wild with Unite Us, and as well as Dr. Joshua Barnett with the Human Services Department of Pinellas County to tell us a little bit about the Care About Me program that launched in Pinellas County before the storms, actually, and how that might be applicable to us now, and then additional resources that we might want to know about. Thank you and welcome to both of you guys.
Yes, thank you, Christy. Kelli, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kelli Wild. I am the manager of the Care About Me program. So I have the wonderful privilege of overseeing our team of mental health specialists who respond to every contact that comes into the Care About Me program. They are a wonderful, compassionate, knowledgeable team. And our goal is to cut through the red tape and help those you love, those you serve, your customers, your employees find the appropriate mental health care in Pinellas County. So I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Barnett, who has been an integral part in developing this program. And we're just happy to answer any questions later that come up.
Kelli. And Christy, I'm sharing my screen. Am I able to pivot to my screen share?
All right, I think you're in.
All right. Do you see my slide?
Yep.
With a blue background? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. All right,
Thank you,
excellent.
Dr.
Thank you so
Barnett. Thank
much.
you. Yep.
Wanted to just speak a little bit about some of the things I heard at the very top of the call today, and just why do we even need to think about Care About Me? But if we think about common causes of stress, there are significant life events that occur that can be very stressful to us. Catastrophes like environmental disaster, moving, retirement, or becoming a caregiver. Work can be a stressful environment that can cause us to feel overload, and due to conflict, deadlines, relationship changes. So if divorce, death, even changes in family dynamics, even switching your therapist can be seen as very significantly stressful. Health-related issues, if you've acquired a certain diagnosis or a terminal illness, if your nutrition isn't set to an optimal state and you're not performing your functions typically, or losing function in a part of your body, or not maintaining sleep hygiene, that can cause significant stress and, of course, financial impacts. And as we're talking about all these resources to equip our community with to obtain financial assistance towards repair, getting those unexpected bills or loss of home or significant damage, these are all stressful things. There's such a thing as vicarious trauma or secondary traumatization. That's when one experiences trauma indirectly through exposure up to those suffering while others are performing duties. Many of you on this call may be personally impacted by the storm events. And so not only are you serving your community, but you're also having to serve yourself. And by doing those simultaneously can certainly exacerbate the stress that we experience. I was asked to speak a little bit about mental health in addition to Care About Me. And so in terms of stress, the way we perceive stress can have implications on our neurotransmitters, the way that our brain operates to manage anxiety or depression and maintain those relationships. As we may feel more depressed or feel more anxious in the moment, it could affect the way in which we communicate and receive information or even receive support. If we're also managing stress, it can cause us to maybe eat unhealthy things. So we may be stress eating, we may be making poor diet decisions, which may decrease our physical activity, or we may not feel able to engage in the same physical activity that we typically do. In terms of inflammation, when we are stressed, we can experience greater inflammation, which can lead to greater symptoms of arthritis, gastrointestinal pain, and also increase our risk for other infectious diseases. So sometimes during stressful events, you might find that you become sick or you feel more lethargic or don't feel as healthy. And then also our circadian rhythm. So we have to get healthy sleep in order to maintain our energy, maintain our focus. And if that's disrupted, either due to changes in shift work during storm response or increasing our hours to be available to the community, it may affect us. And so we might be drinking more coffee to counter that, but it does have some effects. And on the right-hand side, those are some of the physical symptoms that you might see associated with stress. The HPA system of our brain is really that fight and flight component of our brain. And so as we are in the managing stress, we might be having to decide whether we need to act now or act later. And so that can cause fatigue, it can cause mood change, we can experience pain at different levels, our energy levels change, our immune response can become compromised because of the stress that's going on within our systems. Our metabolism may change, blood pressure could go up, weight could increase or decrease, we could experience headaches or even some of that gut health problems. So stomach pains or GI issues just associated with stress. So if any of these things you are seeing or feeling, it's a good opportunity to check in to find out, what do I need to do to relax and manage stress and maybe refocus differently and perhaps get some professional intervention. In terms of showcasing information as to why one might want to seek out mental health assistance, mental health needs are terribly common. 1 in 4 individuals will experience a mental illness at some point in their life, and 1 in 5 of us have experienced it just in the past year alone, and catastrophic events certainly increase this number. So it's always important to check in to find out what might be happening around us or to us. Anxiety, depression are common. Alcohol use is also common. Bipolar disorder, those symptoms can increase due to other disruptions, such as stressful events. And suicide is also important to think about, knowing that 5% of all adults in the United States have seriously considered suicide. And so it's always important to check in around the way in which we have those thoughts and manage those symptoms, especially regarding burnout. I won't go through all of these, but essentially putting together stressful and supportive environments, building camaraderie, checking in, providing training around stress management and symptom recognition, and thinking about what do we do if those things come up like we're doing today. Reviewing these with your colleagues, with your community members, with your employees, and with your family around, are we equipped to recognize these things? And more importantly, are we equipped to do something about them if they're recognized? So I'll move us into some of the assistance that exists throughout Pinellas County. If someone is in immediate danger, so considering an imminent risk to suicide with a plan of how they would complete suicide, intention to engage in those suicidal thoughts and they have the means to complete it, that is a call to 911. That is a resource that everybody's familiar with. But as you think about when do I call 911 versus other resources, it's really having that plan, intent, and means. In terms of someone who might be experiencing a psychiatric condition and they need to get examined and they want to go someplace for some quick help, crisis stabilization is a place that they can go to. Commonly called Baker Act receiving facilities in Florida. There's about 7 of them in Pinellas County, Baycare, Winmore, Elios, formerly known as PEMS. Those are places that someone can go and meet with a physician and be evaluated of whether or not they need crisis stabilization supports or can be taken to receive that support. So oftentimes that transportation is accessed through 911. It's important to also know there is a mobile crisis response team also operated by Elios, formerly PEMS. That is clinicians who can either connect with somebody virtually or in person. They will drive to the individual and do a clinical assessment using their licensed clinical assessment team. And they can evaluate the crisis, assess the situation and needs, oftentimes stabilize it in the community using clinically informed and trauma-informed de-escalation techniques, which might avoid the need for 911 intervention or might avoid the need for a Baker Act. So please keep that number handy if you don't already have that. You may also be familiar with 988. There's been a national rollout by the Federal Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration. It's a crisis line or a suicide line that people can call if they're having thoughts of suicide, but don't have that intent, don't have the plan, don't have the means, but do have the thoughts. And so sometimes those thoughts can become pervasive. Sometimes they can become scary. It could be driving to work and just feeling overwhelmed and saying, I just want to drive this car off the road. I just want to be done. Not that you intend to act on it, but that thought did cross your mind and it might become overwhelming or a bit scary. Calling 988 simply on your phone, picking up and dialing 988 will link you to a suicide and crisis hotline that can walk you through those thoughts, help you manage that ideation, help you recenter and help you get focused, and also perhaps recommend formal treatment if it becomes too pervasive. It's also a resource to those of us who don't understand how to have that conversation around those suicidal thoughts. So if you are connected to somebody who has those thoughts, you can also call 988 and ask the question of how do I engage in this conversation? How do I support someone who has these thoughts? They are available to you. I'm going to move on to assist mental health first aid training. If you are interested in learning more about applied suicide intervention skills or how to triage and refer folks who might be experiencing a mental health or substance use condition, please look into assist or mental health first aid. Assist training is currently available in Pinellas County by the Suncoast Centers. And mental health first aid training is currently provided by Directions for Living. Of course, we also have EAP. So if you are a business that offers employee assistance programs, these are always good reminders to tell your employees to say, please check your EAP and get connected to formal treatment services if they're looking for those formal treatment services. And some EAPs will also offer some navigation assistance in terms of what's covered, what's uncovered, what might have a greater copay or whatnot. So those are always super important to look into. I am going to move us into Care About Me. So you heard Kelli at the top introduce her work as the CAM manager. We have specialists available who can receive calls from the general population who are seeking to navigate to behavioral health services, but simply don't know where to start. Here's some of the literature that's been going out from Care About Me, just related to disaster response. So it's available in different languages, but essentially Care About Me is a first stop location that residents of Pinellas County can call to say, I am considering my need for mental health services, and I don't know what type of care I need. I don't know what intensity I need. I don't even know what locations I should be going to. I might know of a agency, but you want to be linked to the one that is best aligned to your care needs, and Care About Me can do that. Care About Me can help individuals navigate to mental health, substance use, and other addictive services like gambling, and it operates Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., which includes those legal holidays that fall on those Saturdays. And they can be connected to a behavioral health specialist who's trained to triage the needs of the caller and assess the level of care. They collaborate with a network of providers to understand their service array, their eligibility, their insurance, and the types of modalities of treatment that they provide. They will then schedule that appointment for that caller before they leave the call. So a difference is you call, you connect, you speak to the specialist. By the time you hang up that phone call, you know that you're going to visit Tracy at this agency on Tuesday at 2:30, and they will expect you there at that time. And the CAM also follows up with the resident to ensure that they attended that appointment, and we follow up with the care provider to ensure that everything worked as intended, essentially closing the loop. If you are looking to connect to Care About Me, you can go to careaboutme.org. You can also dial 1-888-431-1998 to be connected to a specialist. And by visiting the website, you can either text, chat, or call the number to be connected to the specialist, whatever makes the most sense. So our younger generation prefers to text. Most of our adult male population prefers to chat on the website, and everybody's welcome to call over the phone. Either way, whatever makes the most sense for you. You can also scan this QR code. But please save this information, keep it handy, and share it as you encounter people who might be looking for such services. You can also see updates about Care About Me and advertising about the program by following on Facebook or Instagram or following us on LinkedIn. So we encourage you to access those resources, and what you'll see are regular updates and advertisements that may be targeted to certain populations, might be targeted to certain times of the year, and also might be targeted around certain disorders as we recognize Suicide Awareness Month, Substance Use Awareness Month, or Mental Health Awareness Month, and then also significant holidays or post-disasters where usually increased needs occur for those accessing formal treatment services. So please follow those. And then I will leave you with information regarding Pinellas County. So Pinellas County government does maintain a website, pinellas.gov/emergency-information, or you can simply text RECOVER to 888-777. On that website, if you go to pinellas.gov emergency information, it'll bring you to a page which has different buttons that speak about FEMA assistance, storm damage permits, homeowner recovery, and a slew of other resources that are regularly updated. So if you're encountering somebody who might be feeling overwhelmed and stressed about all the things that we're discussing today and the other presenters had mentioned, this is yet another resource to direct those folks to. And then again, I'll end with Care About Me. If you're looking to get in touch, please visit the website or email info@careaboutme.org.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Barnett. That was amazing resources. The mental health first aid is a wonderful resource that employers can offer to their employees as a training session in the community. And just overall, I think the bottom line is that we're communicating, and hopefully we can all communicate back to our colleagues and employees and neighbors that it is okay to not be okay. And in your day-to-day existence, as we exist here post-recovery, post-disaster recovery, that everybody's going through something. Even if they weren't directly affected, you might find that it's your grandmother, your neighbor, or your employer. So I think just giving each other that grace and space and having these other resources that don't automatically come to mind is super valuable. So I hope everyone will share some of these ideas and just some of that grace with whoever they come into contact with as we move forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Kelli.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are going to wrap up, and I appreciate all of our speakers today being right on time and getting us out of our lunch hour just on time. I have one more slide to share, maybe, just with my contact information. So a special thank you to our presenters. As I mentioned, we did record this webinar, so please, as you get this in your inbox as an attendee, share it out with your colleagues and your network as valuable resources, yes, to help us navigate the rebuilding and the financing portion, which are super stressful and are like a second job to many of us right now. But also these resources that will help us collectively move forward. So the links and the questions will be included. So the St. Petersburg Chamber provides ongoing opportunities for members to engage with key decision makers And also, it's really valuable to add your expertise to ensure the economic growth and vitality for all in our community. So I just wanted to invite you to go to our advocacy website is stpete.com/advocacy to learn about how you can participate in more committees and events. As we get into the legislative session, key decisions are being made locally, but on the state and federal level as well. And we encourage you to continue to be participating with us in chamber activities as we move forward. So thank you all to our presenters. Thank you to our attendees, and please contact me with any questions moving forward. Have a wonderful day.